Why is the onus on the hawker to feed the poor?
Today, you're fighting the government.
These people are suffering.
You were a poster boy for the Singapore government.
I didn't do this for fame. I'm not here to fight with the government.
I mean, we fought hard, including the government lobbied for it. And because of all that, we got recognized by UNESCO.
I fought for it. In 28, I raised this at the little focus group. And then 4 months later, PM Lee then said, okay, we'll submit it. And the UNESCO award is up for renewal next year. At the rate things are going, UNESCO will find a hard time renewing this.
I must admit that your tone in some of the arguments and debates have been pretty sore.
I get really, really...
KF Seetoh.
What is it?
No.
Where did I get a
What
name
does
from?
KF stand for?
K was a name my father gave me, of course, but he had the foresight to know that one fine day, Martha Stewart would ask what does KF stands for.
She did.
She did. It was on her show, a lovely show, and she appeared, before she appeared, they had this show primers. They come, I've been working with Martha Stewart for 12 years now, and I know what the first question she'll ask you. What is laksa? I was cooking laksa on the show. And he said, and then we take it from there, So, okay. And a different question she primed me for. And then Martha came out, lovely woman.
Yeah.
Tall, and then she was radiant. And then the first question she asked us, what does KF stands for? Then I look at her. Didn't your producers tell you? Didn't you read the notes? And she was like,
arrogant guy, you.
Yeah. Entertainment.
Entertainment.
And I said, King of Food. Wow, the whole studio erupted, And the show went uphill from there. Americans, I know they like this kind of things. I like Singaporeans like him. Like they only say arrogant.
Okay.
Mampos na.
King of Food. Okay, there's a serious side to that. I mean, remember your wedding? We both of us were inebriated. We went up and we talked about launching a TV series.
So this man saw
Makansutra.
me speak. Yeah, this man saw me speak inebriated in my wedding, and then
Seetoh
after
said,
that, this man has to be on TV. and next thing you know, we didn't even do a pilot.
No, we didn't.
They straight away commissioned a whole series on
Series.
it. I was that good, man. I was that good.
Yeah,
and
2 seasons.
Yeah, and the station that took us on no longer around, but they believed and that show did very well.
Absolutely.
And I had the best years of my life zipping around in that motorcycle, totally unscripted.
I mean, even though you're not photogenic, telegenic, you're not, you need an overhaul in your face. People actually appreciated that. Because somehow there was some level of sincerity. And that's what we're going to talk about today, Seetoh, really. Why is it that you have such a deep level of passion for street food? How did you acquire that? And more importantly, for the hawker, almost all your life that I've been involved in, you have talked about hawkers, the plight of hawkers, how much hawkers are struggling. And very importantly, the hawker culture, right? We were talking about it just now. You made a very interesting point. The government, NEA as an agency, looks after hawker centers, right? They look after the hawker centers. They operate the hawker centers, especially for the socially conscious ones. That's separate. But you ask the question, which minister, which ministry, which agency actually looks after hawker culture?
Is there a minister that looks after culture?
Probably MCCY.
Hey, you say one.
Probably MCCY.
Now, for the longest time, I even asked some previous MCCY ministers and people in charge, why isn't culture coming under this? This is It's about the only true culture we have left. We don't have our own language. We don't have our own costume. We don't even have a true festival of our own. Chingay is not lah. Only National Day. Don't have a festival that celebrates Singaporeanness for, of, and by the people, funded by the government. Don't have. So we need that.
But you tried to capture that, right? You tried to capture that in the street food awards.
Street food awards, street food culture, but those are, you need something deeper, and nothing here can fly and explode unless the government is involved. You can only do it so much here.
But you've been involved in this, pushing for this for the longest time, right?
I have.
For more than 20 years.
I started
Almost 30 years.
Makansutra in 1997, inked the book in 1998, and then started doing awards in, I think, 2000. So, almost 30 years.
So, my question is, why is it so important for you that you champion this? I mean, one obviously is you feel that nobody's in charge. When nobody's in charge, it becomes an orphan. The idea becomes an orphan. So why is it that you have been championing this for 30 years?
It's about culture, and it's about a purpose to what I do. Sure, I start a food guide, good to eat, no good to eat, but that's very shallow. Quality is always subjective. But this purpose to preserve and sustain this food culture, not just in Singapore, worldwide, nobody does this. So that's why in early mid-2000, I called my old friend Anthony Bourdain, and I said, hey, you owe me a lot of favors. Then you come here, you ask me for so many things, and now my turn to ask you. I want you to come and power my World Street Food Congress and talk up this culture that you have been milking for your ratings, and getting all these stories from. He came in a heartbeat, just like that. And he backed us up. So
why?
Because there's no football has FIFA, fast cars has F1, heritage, street food, hawker culture has who?
Actually, besides Singapore, what are the countries that you've been to or you heard about where there is street food?
There's Indonesia has over 2 million, almost 3 million street vendors. You talk about Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, they all have.
This region. But what about the West?
Of course, Mexico, I travel there. You go to, that South American region, the poorer part of the Americas, a lot of them undiscovered. Even America, they have their food truck culture and all that, but they are very, very suppressed there too. But a lot of gems, wonders are hidden in all these street food concepts that you find all over the world.
So we were recognized, Singapore street food culture was actually recognized by UNESCO in 2020, right? As an intangible sort of heritage asset.
Recognized by me first in 2018.
Yes.
I think the Heritage Board invited me to come and talk about, hey, what should we UNESCO-fy after Botanical Gardens? You invite me, of course, I say street food culture.
That was in 2018.
2018. So I said, of course, street food culture. You want me to talk about sports and fashion or what? So, but I realized the panel was talking about street food. Chicken rice, laksa, I don't know what. I said, I did not say street food. I said street food culture. It's very different.
Why is it
People's affinity, your relationship to it, where it came from, how it came from. I'm eating my grandmother's, my grandfather's culinary lineage, and I'm expressing it, I'm selling it, I'm celebrating it. That is culture. People fly to a meeting in Korea, come back and he must wallet bad for me already. You laugh, but
that's
it's
true. That's true.
It is true. And then when hawker food is so deeply embedded in us. People say, lunchtime talk about dinner. It's true, you don't laugh, people do talk about it. Hey, did you hear about that roast chicken or whatever here and there? People come alive.
Come alive and passionate. And I guess that's the reason why the points that you raised, you have been raising, and lately you have raised them quite passionately, actually resonated with a lot of people. Not because we wanted to be critical of the government, it's just that you struck a chord. And there are a lot of people that I've spoken to from all walks of life, for whom this is a unifying factor. If there's one thing, regardless of how rich you are, regardless of what race you belong to, the vast majority of Singaporeans actually can relate to the pull of the hawker center and the hawker culture.
Yeah.
What is that? How would you quantify it? What is it? What is that pull? The culture.
I think our identity, our culture is bonded because of food in many ways. I eat roti prata, nobody will bat an eye. You eat chicken rice, nobody. You eat bak chor mee, nobody will care.
Yeah.
It is that much of an equalizer. You go other country, oh, you're gonna take me to Chinatown? There is that divide, that invisible divide in culture. Here, food, nobody bats an eye. You eat anything,
Actually, that's such an important point because I've invited global CEOs who are my friends, who are here in town. I've told them, forget the hotels, forget the restaurants. Can I take you to Lau Pa Sat? Can I take you to Newton Hawker Center? And they didn't know what it was, but when I took them there, they were so grateful. They were so grateful that I chose not to take them to the Hyatt Hotel or somewhere else, which is a regular thing. And in Singapore, as you said, nobody bats an eyelid if someone suggests, why don't we go to the hawker center? Of course, these days, the humidity and the heat is a factor, right? But other than that, regardless of what station you are in life, I think it is a leveler. You can sit with someone at the next table from a different race, from a different age group. We are a community there.
I was connected to the previous U.S. ambassador because, we were working with the embassy there to get our hawkers up to New York for our thing. And then, so I knew he was he used to run, he's an IT entrepreneur. Then he ran a series of restaurants. He's a foodie hardcore. So when I got to know him, I said, hey, Your Excellency, come, let me take you out and show you my food culture, not the nonsense that you've been eating on your post, And
this
I didn't
is
take him
when you're setting up urban hawker.
around that period. So we connected quite a bit.
Mm.
So the first time I properly took him out, I didn't take him to a hawker center. It was during the Hungry Ghost Festival. I took him to a Hungry Ghost Festival party. They got stage, and then they got all the roast pork, roast duck, and vegetable, all the crabs, and all the big feast at the side. And we went uninvited. I said, I don't want you to be invited. Otherwise, you get the VIP treatment. You don't feel it. And he loved it. And I know he's a man on the ground. Went there quietly, and then everybody, hey, who's that? Who they recognize me? And then how come got security? I say embassy. He's a U.S. ambassador. And so, they set a table for us, brought up for. He loved it. He kept talking about it. The media picked it up. Never will he ever get this experience again. Of course, future down the road, we went up to hawker centers and all that. That's anybody can do that.
And along the same lines, if you remember, the one thing that people from so many parts of the world recognize about Singapore, it wasn't our skyline, it wasn't our economy, and so on. It was Bugis Street, if you remember, right? Bugis Street,
and
where Bugis is today. And we went to Bugis Street. We used to go, as soldiers. Yeah, and you would have the cross dressers, you have the transvestites singing beautiful songs. They'll come and join your table. The food was incredibly good, the street food, And so why did STB shut it down? Why did the government shut it down?
The vernacular then was aqua, right?
Yeah.
So why? I think it was a development. But it was an icon. People today, older fellas that come here from overseas, they still ask for it.
But that's a differentiator, right?
There was a different era on there, That culture, we lost it. That really street food hawkers, we lost it. I think we should bring it back. Let curated dirt.
We do. But that brings me to the issue that occupied you and occupied many other Singaporeans for some time. I'm talking about the sensitive issue about, Bukit Canberra,
Social enterprise hawker
social
centers.
enterprise, socially conscious enterprise hawker center. Socially conscious
Smoky,
enterprise hawker center. Okay.
rose by
Now,
any other name.
this was a concept that came out from NEA, the government agency. I think the intention was good to set up something like this so that there are surpluses and not profits, which you plow it back into the system, and so on. But you and I know that social enterprise is a very, very difficult thing to achieve, right? It's not a walk in the park, social
Not
enterprise.
really, not really.
No, I mean, it depends on how. Now, you call it surplus, not profit, and it needs to be plowed back to some extent. Now, there was a lot of talk about what went wrong in this place, this particular hawker center, which was a socially conscious enterprise. Right? What, in a nutshell, was the issue that triggered your involvement?
So let's go back to why hawker centers was built back in the day, right?
Yeah.
They took them off the street because they were dirty and they were polluting our waterways and all that, right? And then somebody said, hey, if you do that, then this was got no jobs. So they started building hawker centers and systematically relocated all these itinerant hawkers. And then we have hawker center overnight. And over the decades, it got improved, it got better and better. I was extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
Because in the course of cleaning up the drains, they preserved our heritage food culture. Unconscious.
This
And
was
it's still run by
60s
environment.
and 70s.
60s, it's still run by the environment people. They had been systematically improving ventilation and getting rid of the birds as best as they can and all that. And then suddenly out of nowhere, they came out with a socially conscious or social enterprise hawker center, whatever it is still the same contract, egregious contract that the hawkers are subjected to. So they brought in all these so-called expert operators. Some of them I don't even know where they're from, and I began to hear stories.
Sorry, when you say expert operators, this is for the benefit of viewers. You're talking about commercially driven
food
operators.
court and coffee shop operators.
Okay. And this is different from. So, what's the role of NEA?
They farm out the management of these hawker centers to these.
And there are 14 of these socially conscious enterprises.
Closer to 20 now.
Okay.
I
So-
lost here, coming up and down every day.
So, these are managed differently from the regular hawker centers.
Yes. So the regular, there are about 120 hawker centers in Singapore, public ones, not your private ones.
Yeah.
They are run by, they're supposed to be run by NEA.
National Environment Agency. Yeah.
So they came out with this concept of, inviting these
Operators.
operators to come and take over the management. And NEA pays them, I don't know what they call it, a kopi money, to take over and run. So Canopy...
Something like a management fee, is it? For how long? How many years?
About 5 million, 4 point something, close to 5 million for
Over?
a small hawker center like Canopy.
No, but over what?
Over
1
9
year?
years.
Over 9 years.
That's about $500,000 a year.
Okay.
For them to hire 3-4 managers to run about and to do that. And then they collect rent from 30 stalls or so.
Okay.
30 stalls is a small hawker center. And then they pay a portion back to NEA. I do not know how much NEA...
The operator pays a portion back.
Yeah, I mean, you pay rent to the government. The government pay you a few $1 million to operate, and you pay them back in rent. I do not know how much they...
So it's sublet to the operator, who then sublets it to the hawkers.
Sorry? They sublet to the...
To the hawkers, right?
That they farm out to the operators, pay them, and then they operate. And then they collect rent from the hawkers. And then, of course, they have to pay back in rental back to the government.
So this is over and above the 5 million that you talked about. That's given
5
to
million
them
is in your
upfront.
pocket already. Yeah, the
Over
rent...
9 years.
Yeah, over 9 years. So they collect rent, but of course they have to pay rent back to the government, I believe, because this is like a national secret. I haven't been able to get figures out of this. The thing is, the social enterprise management companies, they only know how to operate commercial food court contracts. I know what it's like. I'm one. You know, if you operate a commercial food court, I mean, you pay like $1 million, $2 million to build a place. Of course, you have the right to recover it because it's a good location, it's aircon and all that. But they're applying this management concept to a public asset. Hawker centers, and hawkers, after they were driven out of the streets and into nice hawker centers over the years that had kept improving, their mission was to offer comfort food at affordable prices to people who got no time to cook. I think some leader once ago said, "Hey, don't go and cook, I'm going to work. You go back to the hawker and eat."
And it wasn't altruism per se, because it was also a barrier-free entry into the commercial world for them.
It's not just barrier-free, entry-level platform to go into the F&B line.
Yeah. So could you give an indication to our viewers, what kind of rental are we talking about for a regular hawker center? And is it different for the socially conscious?
So let that separate the socially conscious or social enterprise hawker centers and the 100 or a little over 100 NEA-run public hawker centers. If you want to get a stall today, you go and search what's available. NEA put out stalls that are empty every few months or so, every 2 months or so. And then you bid for it. So they play on your desperation. So if you're like, oh, I really want a stall at Maxwell, it's so famous. I want a stall at Newton, you know, what Asian, crazy rich Asian, I want to go down there. You bid for it. So they play with your greed. So
it's like, a range.
Up to you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even COE, the most expensive one. So the average bid today, say at Maxwell, if some hawkers tell me if you are not offering $7,000 a month, forget it. $5,000 a month ain't gonna cut it. $5,000 a month will get you somewhere further out,
remote,
maybe Bukit Merah or whatever. You don't get these numbers are available online. These are open. I'm not making these numbers up. You can go and check.
What kind of range are we talking? Are we talking about 2,000 to 10,000 kind of range?
Today, you were talking about 2,000 to 3,000 to 8,000, 9,000. And this is how NEA Hawker Center runs, not the SEHC. You say you bid $5,000 for a stall, fairly popular stall at the edge of town. The rule is this: you pay what you bid for the first 3 years. After 3 years, it goes back to the market-defined average, which right now averages, $1,300. So you start high, and you have a startup. You want to bring your grandmother's recipe and hawk it to the masses. You want to celebrate her. You start high, and then 3 years later you come back to 1,000.
That doesn't make sense, because it should start low. Because
let them go, let them fight, and then if they do well, you adjust it up, bit by bit, let them go. And then besides our hawker stalls, I don't think it's a profit-driven thing by the government. It's a service they give to the people. So as long as there's a budget to run all these things,
So, Seetoh, I'm not clear. Why is there a need to have this auctioning sort of orientation? Why can't it be a fixed price for the hawker units in a hawker center?
Why is 3 years high and then you come down?
Why is there even a need to bid? Why can't you just fix the price?
Yeah.
This is how much. And
so why can't you fix the price? You heard him, right? Okay, next question.
So why can't you fix the price?
You have to ask them. Invite them on your show and ask them why this disparity in operation. And then at NEA hawker centers, people are free to charge whatever they want. If they're charging seafood or nice proteins and all that, you charge more. If you're selling starches, people will sell. I'll sell you at an affordable, even cheaper price. But in the SEHC, no. I don't care what you sell, lobster or abalone. you have to offer one meal at $3.50, even for the rich. Even Bill Gates will pay $3.50. So I can understand if you tell me $3.50 is for the poor in our society, qualified by the CHAR card or whatever, people who need assistance. But anyway, you and me, making fairly good income, we have access to $3.50. Why? And then this $3.50 thing is not subsidized. The hawker has to fork out. So I always ask, why is it why is the onus on the hawker to feed the poor? And they get no subsidies, they get no compensations for this. All the ingredients are all market price. They pay the same price for that fresh Sakura chicken as Gordon Ramsay does in his MBS restaurant.
So here's the thing, right? One argument could be it's a laissez-faire system. Nobody is forcing you to have a hawker stall. If you want a hawker stall, this is the deal.
Yeah, going right? Eyes wide open, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's one pragmatist argument, which is nobody is forcing you. You go in. This is how because if you can make more money somewhere else, you'd have gone there, all things being equal. So the question here is, why would
anybody
these
want to
hawkers,
sign this?
why would they go and agree to it and accept this? And I'm told by, apparently, I mean, the NEA survey said that there's 80% satisfaction rate and there's 90% occupancy in the socially conscious enterprises, hawker centers. I mean, if we believe the results of the survey, then there shouldn't be a serious problem. Then in which case you are essentially a rebel rouser.
I don't know where they get the numbers from. I get my facts on the ground. Talk to the people behind officialdom.
But that's anecdotal.
I see the numbers. I see the facts. I can look. You there, empirical. You observe, and you know. And I know how much they are struggling. So you go to a SEHC. I mean, have you really asked them? Are you happy with the fact that you have to serve a $3 or $3.50 meal, enforced, contractually enforced, that you have to pay a 10% discount? You have to use their app. You have to use their POS. I said, why you use POS for what? Not all of them are monitoring sales. I only know Yishun, the timber folks, monitor them because they want to milk 15% of their profits. The rest don't. So if you don't take profit, why you want to put your own POS system down there? For what? And then these hawkers have to pay monthly, I think $100 per month. The hawkers say, hey, I can buy my own POS system for $1,000 or what, and use it for all 3 years of my contract. Why do I have to pay you so much every month?
No, it goes back to my question. Why did they sign up for this? 90% occupancy.
For
Why
the
did
last
they sign up
60,
for this?
because people really want to go to a hawker center because they know this is the lowest form, entry-level, lowest form of F&B entrepreneurship. No choice. You can't go lower already. People want to go into business. This is the lowest, right? And for the last 60 years, people trust, go be hawker, try your luck, And they have been trusting the government over the last 60 years. All of you say, you just sign, you only pay this, water, electricity and all that. And then after you just sell. So when the SEHC contract comes, why would any hawker, 32 pages, the one at Fei Siong is 52 pages, you think they will read? And the management will just put it onto this one, government approved one, NEA approved already. And NEA has declared every line down there is approved by them. So what you want to say, Cheng Hu say okay, right? Should be okay, what? Because they trust the government.
Okay, Seetoh, can you give me and our viewers a sense of the economics in broad terms, right? If my rental per month is 5,000, let's say, in one of the better locations, how much can I get as earnings, which is profit, which is
Okay,
what can I expect?
Let's not go to nitty gritty. If you don't do at least 200 portions a day at about $4 to $5,
Okay,
you are bleeding, and
so you'll be in the red.
you are struggling. You are just taking profits. There's no salary. Hawkers don't know what salary is.
Yeah.
Balance, they keep it in their pocket. Next day, buy ingredients. They're not brilliant people. They are just skillful
just want to
people
eke a
who can
living.
cook. You know, who can cook. You ask them to do all this, analyze all this, that they don't know. One day, I don't clear 200 portions. Some of these people do not clear that
So you're
portions.
talking
They
about
will
200 plates.
at about $4-5.
So the question is, why would anyone, even if your options are limited, why would anyone still want to go be a hawker? I mean,
In an SCHC, eh?
No, not just SCHC. Honestly, any hawker center. First of all, you're hardly earning a decent wage at this point in time. You probably get $1,500 to $2,000 or even less a month. Okay, you are working in very, very hot and humid conditions. When even standing there ordering, you can feel the heat, and these people are standing there for hours. Number three, they're on their feet, which means that there are other medical conditions they can be susceptible to, right? So I don't know. I mean, my question to you is, why would any thinking person actually want this life, be a hawker? And if young people don't want to be a hawker, even if you come from a family of hawkers, what is going to happen to this one key Singapore feature, which is the hawker culture?
Mati lah. It will go
Is
the
there-
way. It will go the way of the central kitchen, like how they are taking over school canteens now, right? I think all these big food conglomerates will set up their own hawker stores with their own people, their own central factory sources.
Yeah.
Train a bunch of people going into the finishing thing. It's already happening.
The good thing is at least it will result in the hawker culture not dying. It's transformed. It may not be as
I mean,
inexpensive as before.
It is just pedestrian. At most, you do not tap the full potential of the skills and passion of people who really want to go into this business, believing that they can make it. So why should we deny them a chance? There are hawkers who are very successful. They are the crazy rich hawkers around. I know them. I've seen them.
What's the economics?
7 figures a year.
7 figures meaning what?
Over $1 million a year.
And why? What makes them so special?
They're good, steady, consistent. Everything they do, they have. They already have their line of regulars. They do very good social media, very good relationship with the customers. Food consistent, affordable. So that is the key things. And if you go further, and this kind of knowledge, a lot of people don't know. Your location has to be good. Your pricing has to be good. The food that you sell resonates with that community down there. So a lot of people, when they go out and sell, they don't think about all these kind of things. My pricing, where am I? Who am I targeting? Older, younger, what? And how do I best source for my ingredients to get the quality that I know these people here deserves or can afford? Nobody teaches them all this. There isn't a government agency here that looks after hawker food culture. Nobody has a proper course that tells them if you want to be a hawker, whether in a food court, a kopitiam, private or public one, these are the things you need to do, and we will help you with all this. I'll help you get cheaper, basic ingredients or very good equipment builders, new or second hand, and then we'll get you people who can give you talks and give you instructions, advise you on how to go about, and even in today, especially today, how to get into the social media act. Like, be on your podcast,
So why wouldn't someone like you, for example, why wouldn't you set up an institute that
I have
trains-
spoken about this before, but you really got to get officialdom. into this. They give you, hey, you take over this old school, I let you have it. Monks Hill or that school, okay, you go and do, going down there. No, it's still about hawker center. It's not about hawker culture because nobody up there looks after this.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship.
Okay, I hear you. You've said that. Let's now talk about what can we do and the different roles that we can play. Number one, let's say it's MCCY, right? Because it's about community and culture, right? MCCY. Minister is David Neo. Have you considered, for example, bringing a whole group of people and talking to them and saying,
Yeah, I want
let's
to. Yeah, I want to. I mean, he just got in.
Yeah.
I thought let the dust settle, let him hear more clearly about the situation. And I'll have a kopio with him.
So
some,
you haven't ruled out the
no.
possibility
No. I mean, when he gets it, then perhaps he can have a chat with the education ministry and say, hey, I think it's good because it's about culture, entrepreneurism, and even tourism and trade.
Yes.
You know how much products and chili sauces and all kinds of packed stuff our hawkers buy from the industry. If that goes, I tell you, your kway teow fellas, all the egg providers are habis. They got no hawkers to supply to. So you got to look at the domino effect of diminishing this hawker culture.
Actually, it'll be very, very, it'll be very embarrassing for us if we are taken out of the UNESCO list.
Oh, I brought this up, man.
Isn't it?
It's
I mean,
gonna
we fought hard, including the government lobbied for it. And because of all that, we got recognized by UNESCO.
Yeah.
And then now that culture that you're recognized for dies.
Oh, they all look the other way.
I mean, that would be an embarrassment.
I fought for it. In 28, I raised this at the little focus group. And then 4 months later, PM Lee then said, okay, we'll submit it for the recognition. In 2020, on my birthday, they gave us the award. There's a sign from above. It's my mission. And after that, silent on the Eastern Front. Nothing. We don't even have a Hawker's Day, for goodness sake. In deference to the reputation that we have because of this, there isn't even a Hawker's Day, which we so need. And this is what will bring people together. 100 of CIMO food in Singapore. Some music and all that, and arts and all that crap. Hey, I tell you, every of your friend overseas, hey, take me there. 没有. In fact, our food festival, I don't know which. I do not know of a Singaporean friend of mine that goes to our food festival.
Because
it has to be for Singaporeans first.
Yeah.
Then the foreigners and the tourists will come.
As an aside, right? We are damn big on fusion. And I remember going for Singapore Day in London many years back. And they had fusion food. Hey, you mix char kway teow with prata and fusion food. That's not what we stand for. That's not what street food is.
I saw somebody do a ginger sorbet and all that.
Yeah.
It's salah lah.
So in trying to enmesh everything into one, that's not what we want. What we want is standalones.
And then I know my late good friend Anthony Bourdain once asked me for his New York Times article. He said, Seetoh, you're championing the authentic, all these legacies and all that. What about the new hipster chefs and hawkers? He talks about Brooklyn. He talks about this. I said, yes, we have. Their creative energies they put into the kitchen and all that. I was like, I reduced it to one sentence, and I told him, Tony, creativity is not a flavor. He wrote it on his first paragraph because why do you want to go into cubism before you can master watercolor or acrylic painting? Master that. Then when you express something new, something fusion, then you know where you came from. I'm expressing my Peranakan flavors who's that? Candle nut. Malcolm. Once I challenged him, express yourself into express your Peranakan heritage and create a new dish for me. I'll come back next week. He thought about it. Pop. He came up with baklava ice cream with Valhona chocolate with a crust. It is still his number one bestseller. When I eat it, you can, there's a Peranakan-ness in there, you know. If you taste buah keluak and chocolate, raw chocolate, it's about the same flavor, bitter, earthy bitterness. So all he did was just lend a layer of sweetness to it. Then you know, hey, it really tastes like a baklava ice cream. So nice.
You were a poster boy for the Singapore government, and you were a poster boy for STB, Tourism Board, more than a decade ago. And you even won one of the highest tourism awards, which was presented to you by President S.R. Nathan then. You're a big name.
Yeah.
KFC, not just because of Makansutra, but because you were on the side of the government, being an ambassador for the government. And you did great work, and everybody, political office holders at that time, spoke very well of you. But today, you're fighting the government.
Okay.
You're not a poster boy anymore. What went wrong?
I didn't do this for fame. Yeah, fame came along because you put me on TV. It was fun. But the mission was to preserve this. It was funner to do that because that was a mission, a purpose. Okay, I didn't do this to be a poster boy. I did it to be a Singaporean. They came along, they tapped me on my back. Yeah, thank you very much. But I have this job to do. I'm doing this as a Singaporean for Singapore to preserve our culture, to preserve this heritage, to recognize who we are as Singaporeans, Not because I want to be a poster boy. And I'm still at it. Whether they like me or not, I still do what I do.
I mean, people I've spoken to or others have shared that they don't understand why did KFC to need to get involved in the Canberra, social enterprise. Why? It's not your business. You are not appointed. You're not given the title. What gives you the locus standi to go there and fight for the hawkers? Did they vote for you? Did they say we want Seetoh to represent us? So you go in there, you rattle the cage. This is the kind of response, And sometimes when I look at it, your stance in some instances were a little more aggressive than needed. Why? Is it because you're frustrated?
Now, look, there are a few chapters to that question. One is I felt we are going the wrong way with this food culture. I don't see their direction because it's something I really cherish. And I do it because as an active citizenry. Now, this government is good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not perfect. Mm-hmm. And like PM said, they need our help. So yeah, hey, listen to me. These people are suffering. You cannot protect a 350 meal for everybody and depress the people who are struggling to offer it without recognizing the needs of both sides. So yeah, trying to bring this out to the surface so we can all sit down and discuss. And I would sure love to sit down and have a little discussion or chat with them. Don't call it a debate, just a chat. And you can host a town hall. Just talk about it. And then if indeed I agree with them that all these 15% can't go on leave without permission, 50-60% more for gas fees, cannot do this, cannot do that, you pay 10% here, 350 and forced charity meals and all that, is indeed good for the food culture, I will shut the hell up. I will even encourage everybody to go and sign with the SCHC. But if it's not, and the audience agrees, please abolish social enterprise hawker centers.
Okay.
Please.
So let's get down to brass tacks, right? Name me 3 things that you think are fundamentally wrong and flawed in the socially conscious enterprise hawker centers? Three things.
The whole SCHC is wrong already. I mean, why do you need a middleman? Everything is hunky dory, right? You know, why do you want person SCHC operator, commercial ones? Yeah, I'll tell you, nobody in Singapore knows how to run a hawker center, a public hawker center, other than NEA. So these ones that come in, I look at their contract. Hello, it's more egregious than the one that I have in New York. You know, I look at it, it's wrong. In your contractual obligations with the hawkers, you are not really preserving and or protecting and sustaining this heritage hawker food culture.
So are you saying that hawker centers should not also experiment with social enterprise, or are you saying that there's nothing wrong with being a social enterprise, but you got to do it right?
Yes, exactly. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong
So-
with social, but where is a social enterprise? Why do
Social
you,
good.
socially conscious or whatever? So where is it? I don't see anything there.
Giving
It's a lot of lip service.
giving the subsidized food at subsidized rates, perhaps.
No, the operators has to ensure there is a socially conscious or social enterprise management system down there. How are they helping hawkers improve? How are they promoting it? How are they drawing more footfall, encouraging the hawkers, helping the hawkers? Hey, level up on this recipe, or hey, why don't you expand to sell this too? There's a demand for this because they are on the ground, you know. And do you see a lot of social media posters on them? Are they even doing, say, social enterprise hawkers evening? All the hawker centers, or even one of them, you know, oh, okay, tonight, this weekend, we got all this, everything at a special, or don't know what, we got new menu coming in, you know, we got just to create a little party. Doesn't cost a lot, and the hawkers don't mind doing it because it's a party. People will come, they will be recognized. Doesn't cost a lot. I've done these things before.
So what you're saying is, if you want this to be truly socially conscious and enterprise, then it needs to benefit not just the lower income customers. It also needs to benefit and incentivize the hawkers.
Of course,
Right?
Yeah,
That's what
right
you're
and
saying.
left hand has to.
Because right now, it appears to be, it's not benefiting the hawkers.
hawkers, no.
You're not incentivizing the hawkers.
Nope.
You're not organizing things in a cooperative form, but you're expecting them to do the social work.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is it the owners? Why is the
Okay.
owners on the
so,
hawkers?
So what's the solution to this for you, from your point of view? What, if you had the leeway, what would you do?
Firstly, remove these contracts. Let the social enterprise hawker centers operate the hawker centers with the NEA contract. Just 7-8 pages, very basic. A lot of space for the hawkers to move, think, and breathe, and grow. You know, there are hawkers who sell $24 nasi lemak in Ang Mo Kio. You can't do that in hawker. You can't do that in SCHC. You know, they won't let you. So, leave your management contract, your obligations to the hawkers must have enough space for them to exercise their creativity in growing this and preserving this hawker culture. The only people who can preserve this is are the hawkers, not the government.
But they are not organized. And without being organized, they have no bargaining leverage.
Because there's no vision for them to be organized. There
No,
isn't even a
my
proper...
point is they can't be on their own, disparate.
I mean, they can
There
do a
needs
little
to-
bit here and there, they create, but there isn't an organization that brings them together.
So what kind of organization can bring them together?
Like a hawkers, some kind of a group.
A cooperative?
Or I mean, it's not an official, even an informal group of thinkers, like-minded, you know, property players, lawyers, and
Why
all
don't
that.
you create it?
As a matter of fact, I'm in the middle of putting together a little group of like-minded people who had been bugging me, Seetoh, let's come together and help them.
Good.
If they want a lawyer to go through the contract and say, this is ridiculous, you know, we'll help them. If they want more service, hey, can you help me design a proper, can you help me do, you know, get off on the social media scene? How do I do my own, and so on and so forth? Yeah, we got people in this group who can help you, advise you, or even offer their services
Now
for
you're
you.
talking, because that's exactly what's needed.
I've been wanting to do this for
Good.
the longest time.
And I can't think of a better person than you. You're passionate about the subject. You understand the economics of it. You have traveled, so you know other models, and you have credibility with the other stakeholders.
I will.
Do it.
And you
Wonderful.
should be in the team too.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you about this. And also, I think at some point, it shouldn't be working against the government. I think it's about working with the government, but putting on the table a model that does work and does benefit the hawkers.
I'm not here to fight with the government.
Yeah.
I'm here to help them. They must believe that what I'm doing is for the greater good of both the hawker culture and the citizenry.
But if I was government, I would be hard pressed to see it that way, because I must admit that your tone in some of the arguments and debates have been pretty sore.
Yeah, sometimes
is it because you've been pushed?
I get really, really
Yeah, and
I build this up because you know what? They are silent on this matter. Absolute. And there's no leader up there that looks after their welfare.
So I understand the frustration, especially because you're passionate about this, but I think it's counterproductive if it's positioned as being adversarial. It doesn't work. Not in the Singapore system. I think discussing behind the scenes with them would probably
I have asked
better
them
returns.
I've openly invited them to chat. They don't. So it's as if I'm talking to a wall. So adversarial or not, the wall will not respond.
Well,
So I'm talking to the people.
good. So maybe we can talk more about this, but I think the modus operandi should be not about throwing stones at each other or appearing to be.
Where got throw stone?
No, but unfortunately, it does. When you look at the entire Bukit Canberra saga, it did become adversarial.
I mean, I state facts.
Yeah,
I'm a journalist. I state
course.
facts. I don't build up things. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I say it as it is.
Of course.
If it's bitter, hey, the bitter pill will cure you. I just can't sugarcoat everything. I just say it. Everything that I've said is factual. I put up all the facts out there. I mean, if they are truly, they truly want to go and build up and improve on this, they will. Okay, let's stop. No, it's all quiet. Nobody came back to me on this.
You said earlier that there are stipulated restrictions on taking leave. Could you elaborate on that?
The
I wasn't aware
contract
of
says when you go on leave, you have to apply a leave form
You
like
mean
an
a hawker
employee
going on leave?
Yes,
In other words, shutting down
Go to their
the
son's
stall.
graduation or whatever, some birthday or whatever. They have to apply leave, write the form. It's subject to their approval.
But why do you assume it won't be approved?
The fact that they have this power,
The hold.
the hold. Why? I mean, they are not your staff; they are your tenants now.
Is it? Could it be?
If they says, oh no, why do you think they'll say no? Then don't even put it there. You want to go on leave? Just let me know. Like the NEA hawkers, if they have, oh hey, I have to attend, my wake, my parents, my kids, whatever. Okay, I'll be away for 3-4 days or.
I guess the concern, like a typical kiasu Singaporean, the concern would be, what if some of them don't take the hawker license seriously enough? So it's closed most of the time. Real estate is being underutilized. So there must be some way to monitor and make sure.
I mean, you can remove their license if you really think that guy is
After a
nut
few warnings.
job who just wants to hold a license for fun or look to sublet. That's another story.
Yeah.
Remove the fella lah. I mean, you will know when you are there on the ground. I mean, they have the right to go on leave.
Yeah.
every profession in Singapore has a right to 20 days leave a year, and they go for emergency leave and all that. That's right. These numbers, these days are okay. But if the guy disappears for months on end, then
What
you
you're
go.
saying is there are other ways of dealing with that issue.
Yeah, trust. Based on trust, if you're not so sorry, you gotta go. But you don't enforce it. You need my permission. You gotta fill out that form like an employee, which they are not.
Yeah, yeah. The final question I have is, there was this debate in Parliament on this matter. And I must say that the senior PALSAC of the ministry, Environment Ministry, MSE, did try to explain in good faith. But I don't think the complexity of the problem surfaced enough. What else do you think should have been raised in Parliament, in that parliamentary
First thing
discussion?
before raising all this, they should have a word with me. Frank, no, and honest, no emotions.
Did you
factual.
try to talk to them?
I openly asked them, please. I did ask, even the minister and all that, please come and talk to me.
How did you ask them?
Online,
You went
minister.
online and you...
Went online, invited everybody, say, hey, you can have a word with him.
Yeah.
And then until I rebutted his counter on me, then
His-
he went silent. He accused me of making up stories
Who
until I
is-
showed him a
who is
receipt. You can go and find the minister in charge of the Canberra Hawker Centre.
Oh, okay.
And then he said, I made this up. That no, they don't pay for all this. Until I showed him the receipt that the hawker showed me. And then there was no sound. And I invited him, please come and talk to me, before I expose anything. Let's have a word on this. This problem is bigger than we all think. And then he kept quiet on this, and then I had no choice but to defend myself by showing facts that I have. But we really need a chat. I would like to invite SPS, come and have a town hall with people concerned about this, and you can host
and
it.
I must say, hand to heart, that watching the parliamentary discussion, even though I may not necessarily agree with everything she said, I found Senior PALSAC Gohan Yang sincere. She was trying her best to give dignity to the discussion, to be as honest and transparent as possible. It is a very complex and complicated issue, but I think we should not lose the goodwill. I hope you won't give up trying to talk to them, but engaging the ministry is a very important first step.
I know that.
And I hope the ministry would take your overture seriously and have that dialogue, because the people that we need to support are the people who don't have someone looking after them. The people who are custodians of our heritage, the one that UNESCO actually recognized. Without the hawkers, without there being a subsequent generation of hawkers, we are finished on that front.
And the UNESCO award is up for renewal next year.
Yeah.
At the rate things are going, UNESCO will find a hard time renewing this because there's no proper support, no growth.
And
this.
as a society,
And
we need
don't-
to ask ourselves, it's not all about economics and money and
course.
profitability and surplus and so on. It is about having the will to fight for something that matters beyond dollars and cents.
Not fight, to keep raising this to
Yeah.
the people that may never use the word. I'm not fighting. I'm just stating facts for the good of it doesn't benefit me at all. I don't run a hawker stall.
But none of us in Singapore wants Singapore to lose the hawker culture.
Yeah.
I think all of us are losers.
I mean, you're talking to me on this issue, which is one-sided. You should go and invite, look in the camera and invite them to sit here and chat with you.
Yes, you heard the man. The invitation is open. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, unfair to be listening to all one-sided affair from
No.
me. It has to be fair. They have to be rebuttal, and better still, a little conversation. Yeah.
KF Seetoh, King of Food Seetoh. Thank you very much. Thank you.